Now, when you look for the best weapon to use in a video game, you mostly focus on its stats and how fast it kills your enemies. However, not every great weapon can be boiled down to simple numbers and statistics. Sometimes the true value of your arsenal comes from how devastating it feels to those who stand in your way. And there are a great number of video games that boast a collection of weapons designed not just to kill, but to make your enemies suffer. So let's take a look at them today. So I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 video game weapons that create fates worse than death. Number 10. The Probe. Destroy all humans. Now, Destroy All Humans has a large selection of weapons that could easily qualify as violations of the Geneva Convention. Crypto's arsenal includes things like lightning rays that disintegrate people and a flying saucer that is capable of destroying entire buildings. However, the most horrifying weapon in the game isn't even technically a weapon, but rather a research tool used by Crypto to extract brain matter from unfortunate victims. The aptly named Anal Probe helps Crypto gather human brains by entering a person's body through the rear end and then traveling all the way up to their brain, where it finally explodes and sends the victim's head high into the sky. Of course, the game plays this gruesome process off as a joke, but let's be honest, if a green mass of energy crawling through your intestines and then shooting out of your neck along with everything on top of it, you'd be doing way more than just running around grabbing your butt. Number 9. The Rift Inducer. Ratchet and Clank. The Ratchet and Clank series is known for its wide selection of weird weapons, from guns that turn enemies into sheep to dance rays that cause everything on the battlefield to get the Saturday night fever. However, not every weapon in these games are so whimsical and fun. Sometimes the weirdness manifests itself in the form of a pretty disturbing concept. Enter the Rift Inducer, a gun capable of spawning portals to a dimension occupied by a huge eldritch monster with spiked tentacles and a ravenous maw. The game calls this creature Fred, but don't let his ordinary name fool you. The moment he enters the battlefield, Fred wastes no time in creating mass terror. His long tentacles start pulling every enemy in range into his portal where, according to the game, he devours each and every one of them. So yes, while you could just shoot your enemies and give them a quick and merciful way out, someone needs to take care of Fred's bottomless stomach, and you just happen to hold the key to his interdimensional cage. Number 8. The Brand. Middle-earth Shadow of War. The Orcs of Mordor are supposed to be the bad guys of Middle-earth, but as you play Shadow of Mordor, you can't help but feel as though it was Talion and his ghostly pal that acted as the true villains of the title. Not only do the Orcs have more vibrant personalities than the pair of them, but the ghastly and ghostly duo is also quite fond of using their powers to torture and abuse their victims. Though it's not really a weapon, the Brand ability in Shadow of War is far more effective at breaking down the Orc hordes than any sword or bow in your inventory, because this magic power allows you to inflict a punishment that any orc fears more than death, and that is eternal humiliation. By casting the brand and burning the shape of your hand into the orc's face, you doom the poor creature to become an outcast within his own tribe. He becomes a laughingstock that can't hold any position of importance, which eventually crushes his soul and drives them to insanity. In fact, if you feel especially cruel, you can actually use the brand ability multiple times and watch as the orc of your choice turns into a brainwashed, blubbering mess. It's pretty rough. Number 7. Soul-Trapping Weapons. The Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim. The Elder Scrolls games provide the player with plenty of opportunities to act like the bad guy. You can become an assassin, do the dirty bidding of Daedric princes, and commit many other atrocities. However, the most heinous thing that you can actually do is something that most people playing the games don't really question. And that one thing is soul trapping, the ability to bind a slain foe's soul to a crystal so that it can be used in enchantments and to charge your magical weapons. Although the practice is very common in the world of Tamriel, and you can even buy soul gems at general stores, the Dawnguard DLC for Skyrim actually sheds some pretty disturbing light on what actually happens to the souls that have been spent on enchantments. The DLC has you visit the Soul Cairn, a bleak and harrowing realm ruled by the mysterious entities called the Masters. Every soul that was used in enchantment ends up here, where the Masters feed on whatever is left of his life force, dooming it to an eternity of pain and a slow detachment from their past life. Just try not to keep that in mind the next time you take down a bandit with your soul-binding weapons. Number 6. The Apple of Eden. Assassin's Creed. The overarching plotline of all Assassin's Creed games revolves around a mysterious civilization and their powerful artifacts that have helped shape the human race. One frequently occurring artifact is the Apple of Eden, though in-game it's mostly used as a weapon of mass destruction rather than a tool of creation. Despite its small size, the sphere holds an incredible amount of power that is capable of reshaping reality. The wielder of the apple can use it to instantly kill people, bend their minds to their will, or simply make them go insane. Using the apples in Assassin's Creed games is one of the greatest power trips that video games have to offer. After spending hours carefully assassinating people, being able to instantly pit dozens of guards against each other or watch them all fall to the ground frothing in insanity, well, it just feels incredible. The scenes with the apples are a brutal display, and they certainly make you realize that a quick hidden blade to the neck is actually a pretty peaceful way to go, all things considered. Number 5. NETRUNNING, Cyberpunk 2077. The world of cyberpunk is obsessed with weapons and violence. Technological blood galore can be found everywhere in Night City, but the truth is, no gun or blade in the game is as vicious as the pure power of the player's mind, or more specifically, what they can do to other people's minds. The netrunning skill in Cyberpunk is a powerful ability that allows the player to hack cybernetic systems, including those connected to other people's bodies. Now, considering how heavily modified every single person in Night City is, a good netrunner character can do whatever they want with whoever they want. Netrunning can leave enemies blinded, paralyzed, induced with cyberpsychosis, and even burnt alive by their own body implants. If you ever feel sadistic in Cyberpunk, well, you can use netrunning to turn any ordinary hit on hostile territory into a slasher-style murder party that will leave all of your enemies dead, or worse, traumatized for life. Number 4. Virulent Walking Bomb, Dragon Age Origins. Compared to the sequels, Dragon Age Origins has a really expansive list of magical spells for you to use. Now, most of them are pretty straightforward abilities, while others are elaborate nightmares that unleash the craziest and most punishing form of torture upon your enemies. The Walking Virulent Bomb is one such spell. If its charming name didn't make it obvious already, the spell is a must-have for those who want to guarantee their enemies have a very, very bad time. According to the in-game description, the bomb infects its target with a corrosive poison that slowly destroys their body from the inside. While this in itself is already a pretty terrible way to go, the fun, and I use that very loosely here, is only just beginning. As soon as the target keels over, the poison causes their body to explode, and should their infective bits touch any other person's body, it will immediately infect them with the bomb as well, creating a chain of violent explosions and even more violent deaths. Now you know why they keep the mages in these games isolated in towers. Number 3. The Drill Bucket, Dead Rising 2. The Dead Rising series is known for its ridiculous combo weapons. Though most of them are pretty silly, nonsensical mashups of random everyday appliances, sometimes the developers like to take a really, really dark turn with them, and the Drill Bucket from Dead Rising 2 is a contraption straight out of a Saw movie. Its name is pretty self-explanatory. It's a bucket with 3 drills taped to its bottom, and when the player puts it on a zombie's head, the drills go off and they grind it to a fine, fleshy pulp which kills the zombie instantly, though not necessarily painlessly. The weapon isn't very practical, as you can only use it on one zombie at a time. However, the animation that plays out whenever the bucket is activated is a gory spectacle that is well worth spending your resources on. The amount of blood that comes out of your victims, well, it could probably fill a bathtub. Now, because Dead Rising is a zombie game, you don't get to use the bucket on regular people, but perhaps that is for the best. The agonizing screams that would come out of that torture device would probably make it way, way less fun. Number 2. The Devouring Swarm, Dishonored. Seeing as the Dishonored games are all about assassinating your political enemies, they naturally include a lot of weapons and magical abilities that help you achieve your goal. The tools at your disposal are all deadly in their own unique way, but there is one ability that stands out for just how cruel and unnecessarily gruesome that it is. And this weapon of mass terror is rats. Now, it might sound weird, but yes, the most terrifying fate that you can deliver your enemies in the original game is a ravenous horde of giant rodents. By casting the Devouring Swarm ability, you can cause a black pool to appear beneath your target that spawns a large pack of rats. The creatures are so aggressive that they immediately start attacking their victim, devouring them alive, until the only thing that's left is a bloodied skeleton. But that's not even the end of it. Considering that the rats in Dishonored carry the plague, weaponizing them doesn't just create a slow and painful death for your enemies, well, it also spreads the disease ravaging their entire city, so yeah, nice one. And number 1, the Cerebral Boar, TUROK. The words homing missile brain drill are not a phrase that a sane person would probably string together, and yet the developers of TUROK 2 did not only do just that, but they also designed a whole weapon based on this concept. Called the Cerebral Boar, this weapon is infamous within the gaming community for being one of the most gruesome objects ever conceived. The gun shoots a homing missile that directs itself straight into an enemy's head to drill a hole into their brain and then explodes inside of it in spectacular fashion. Due to the long reload time, the rifle is not the most most reliable of weapons, but that's not really the point, is it? It's the concept of it. The fact that the moment you pull the trigger, some poor monster is instantly doomed to suffer a slow and painful death. That's why you're doing it. Whoever came up with this design is a good candidate for ending up on federal watch lists, but then again, it's not like people don't get a kick out of their horrifying invention, so glass houses and casting all the stones and that. Either way, it's fun to watch, but also terrible to watch. And there we go, my friends. Those were 10 video game weapons that create fates worse than death. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Instagram and Twitter, where it's @RetroJ, but the O is a 0. Hope to see you over there. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.